You wandered through the grand shopping mall like a ghost in a garden of glitter. Everything was beautiful, but none of it sparkled enough to light up the egg you didn't want to admit. Your fingers schemed the soft fabric of a pastel dress, but your eyes were far away. It wasn't about the dress. It was about him. You had begged yourself not to feel this way. Jungkook had warned you this life wouldn't be normal. You knew he was busy. Meetings, decisions that affected entire countries' power plays. You knew he was ruthless in the outside world. But still, you had secretly hoped that today would be different, that he would show up, walk beside you, choose silly things, carry your bags like the couple you now watched across the ice lake. The man fed his girl a spoon of frozen yogurt, chuckling as he wiped his chin with a napkin. You smiled faintly, and then your smile fell. You didn't want that exactly, you just wanted him. You stepped into the perfume section, absently spraying a sample on your wrist, the same fragrance you wore on your first official dinner with Jungkook. That night he had said in a deep, admiring voice, "You smell like trouble, princess, the kind that..." Your lips started to breathe it in again. Then, Mrs. Jeon. The voice was low, commanding, unmistakable. You froze, turning slowly, your eyes widened. It wasn't just one person. The entire John guard was there, Daniel, Timon, Yuta, all suited, all subtly scanning the area like hawks, and right in the center, walking straight toward you with unhurriedly grace, Jeon Jungkook. In deep black coat, shirt unbuttoned just enough to hint at the tattoo above his heart, the one only you were allowed to kiss. His gaze locked onto you, sharp yet firm, as if he had already read every thought you had been trying to bury. You blinked, stunned. What are... You didn't call me, he said, standing in front of you now, but you left the house without your smile. I felt it. His gaze burned in your eyes, rustling a strand of hair behind your ear with a gentleness that clashed with the cold steel aura around him. Your chest stung. I just didn't want to disturb. He silenced you with a kiss on your forehead. You are my disturbance, my beautiful chaos, my wife. Behind you, the perfume lady gasped softly, and the guard subtly blocked the view of the public protecting the king's movement. Then Jungkook reached for your shopping bag and took it from your hand. I will carry everything today, he moaned, glancing at the couple you had admired earlier. And stop pouting. I don't want people to look at you like you are alone, ever. He slid his hand into yours and whispered, "Let's make them jealous, yeah?" You didn't realize when your steps had gone from dragging to dancing, everything about Jungkook was different today. He walked beside you, not behind, not ahead with you. "Try this," he said, holding up a delicate pearl white dress, tilting his head slightly. "It's soft like you." You giggle. Is that a compliment, or are you teasing me again? I never teased about beauty, he said, serious. Especially when it's mine. You blinked, cheek warming. He rarely said things like that out loud. Like was never the overly expressive type. His affection used to live in small, guarded moments. But not today. Today he had no guards up. He helped you choose earring, actually bending down to clip one side onto your ear, staring for a moment longer than necessary. "That shade make your eyes louder," he murmured, dangerously loud. "I might need to carry even in safe zones." You laughed out loud, nudging him playfully. "You always carry one, Jungkook." "Exactly," he winked, "so I can handle whatever attention my wife bring." Behind you, the guards exchanged glances. Tanya leaned toward Timon and whispered, "Did he just wink?" Timon nodded, stunned. "He also said wife instead of Mrs. John. I think either he is possessed or he fused souls with an rom-com actor." It were in front of a mirror trying on a floral skirt. Jungkook sat lazily on a monologue seat behind legs crossed, jaw resting on his tattooed knuckles. He didn't speak, he just watched. You caught him smiling. "What?" you asked. "Just memorizing the loop," he said quietly, "in case I lose my mind again and forget what happiness looked like." Your heart did a somersault. You turned away quickly, pretending to check another hanger, but your smile refused to hide. Jungkook stood and walked over, gently placing a necklace around your neck from behind. His voice brushed against your skin. "You looked sad earlier when you were alone. I don't want that version of you ever again." He leaned closer as he whispered, more serious. You belong my side, not behind me, not waiting with me. You bite your lip, nodding emotion, threatening to spill. And when you turned to thank him, he simply said, "So if I do something stupid like being busy in work, don't be sad, just come to me." An hour later, as you exited the mall with shopping bags in both his and the guard's hands, you heard Yuta mumble under his breath, "He laughed twice, I swear." Daniel replied, "This woman didn't just marry him, she reprogrammed him." And as you glanced up at Jungkook, his hand wrapped around yours, eyes soft, protective, and proud, you realized maybe the world feared him, but you just made the ruthless mafia king fell in love with being soft. City was glowing beneath your feet, but tonight all the stars were in your shared bedroom because John Jungkook didn't go back to work in the middle of the night after being nice husband. For the first time in this week, he stayed. No phone calls, no urgent meetings, no on the table, just him in his black silk robe, tousled hair, leaning against the armrest with a glass of wine in hand, watching you. You hadn't planned this, but how could you waste the chance? So after dinner, you walked into your shared closet and came back with shopping bags. He raised a brow, amused. "More clothes?" You smiled mischievously. "You said I looked good in everything. Let's test the theory, shall we?" You stepped out wearing that dress he had chosen himself at the mall, a sleek black number that kissed your curves and ended mid-thigh, hugging your waist like it was sewn just for you. You didn't say a word, you just walked slowly across the room, letting him see what his dates looked like on his woman. Jungkook eyes followed your every move. "I should arrest the tailor," he muttered, voice low, dangerous, "because this is giggle twirling too much." He sat straighter, eyes darkening. "Too tempting." This one made you look softer, more playful. You walked out barefoot, twirling with an innocent smile, holding the skirt edge like a little girl showing off a new outfit. "You are not ready for this look." You teased him, biting your lip. "I look like a cupcake." He smiled. "A very expensive cupcake. I would to eat slowly." You nearly choked on your laughter. "Jungkook, I'm just saying," he said, setting his glass down. "If you wear that outside, you better know you are walking beside a man who had no patience when people look too long." And then came the final one, the one he hadn't seen coming because you had saved the best for last. The lights were dim now, warm gold spilling from the standing lamp beside the couch where Jungkook still sat, robe loose around his shoulders, forearm resting on his thighs. He looked relaxed, but the flicker in his eye said otherwise. You stepped out slowly, wearing the scarlet bodycon dress. It was stepless, figure hugging, bold, and completely not the type of thing you ever wore around him. Which made this even more thrilling. You didn't walk, you glided, like the siren he always warned others about, like the doll he said he would never let out of his sight. And tonight you made sure he couldn't. His breath visibly hitched the second his eyes landed on you. The air between you sparked to life like electricity meeting water. You stood right in front of him now, hand on your hip, toying with the slit. "Well, you teased, your voice sugary sweet. Did I pass the test?" Didn't answer, just stared. Jordan's knuckles paled from how hard he was gripping his own thigh. "Jungkook, you tilted your head innocently. You are being quiet. Didn't expect this one to be your favorite." He exhaled through his nose, finally leaning back with a lazy smirk that barely masked the tension under his skin. "I don't know if I want to worship you or lock you in the room." Your lips curled. "Why not both?" He groaned low in his throat, running a hand down his face. "I decided to spend the night with my wife, and this is what she comes out with. You want my blood pressure to shoot through the damn roof?" You walked closer, the slit revealing more of your skin with every step. His eyes followed it like prey tracking movement. "Just wanted to look pretty for you tonight," you whispered. He reached out, pulling you gently by the waist, settling on his lap on the couch. His hand didn't wander, they admired. His touch was warm, comforting, one hand resting lightly on your thigh, the other gliding up the curve of your waist. You always look pretty, he murmured against his shoulder. His eyes met yours, warm, protective, hungry. My woman, my queen, the calm in my chaos, the only softness I allow in my world. You smiled softly, fingers pressing his cheek. You rested your head on his shoulder as his arms circled you tighter. And the city lights flickered behind the glass walls, but none of them could outshine the look in Jeon Jungkook's eyes, because tonight he didn't just fall harder, he sank into you like you were home. He played with the collar of his robe, hesitating, then gently, so softly it barely escaped your lips, you asked, "You love me, Jungkook?" For a moment there was nothing, just the sound of the city below, just the soft ticking of the wall clock behind you. You weren't sure what hurt more, his silence or your own fear of his answer. But then he spoke, voice low, controlled, but full of pain he never shared with the world. "The moment you were ready to give your blood to save my mother, while the person I once thought I wanted didn't even bother to ask if she was okay, that's when I knew." Your breath caught. He wasn't just speaking from memory. He was pulling open the part of his soul no one had been allowed to touch. He lifted your hand slowly, placing it over his heart. "You didn't do it for attention. You didn't do it for my favor. You did it because it was me, because I was hurting. That's when I realized you were the only one who can survive me. So, yes," he whispered, leaning in until his forehead resting against you. Your eyes felt the truth setting between you like the velvet and fire. "I love you, not because I was supposed to, but because I couldn't stop myself." Your lips trembled, and before you could reply, he kissed you not with hunger, not with desperation, but with reverence, as if the very act of loving you felt sacred. The hospital corridor buzzed with urgency, but for Jungkook everything blurred into silence the moment he saw his mother behind the emergency doors. "Mom," his breath hissed, just rising and falling rapidly. The call had barely ended when he left everything behind, racing through red lights just to reach her. "Mr. John," the doctor came rushing out, sweat leaning his brow. Jungkook's heart thudded against his ribs. The doctor added, "We have contacted nearby banks," but before the sentence could finish, Jungkook turned his head sharply. "Daniel." That single name, spoken low but sharp, was enough. Without another word, Daniel was already dialing, barking orders. His men scrambled, activating every source they had. Time was slipping. Just then, you and your mother arrived, breathless after hearing the news. Without a second thought, she dragged you along. Your mother had been close to Mrs. John since school days, and after meeting Aunt Gala again after years of giving their everything to their family, they decided to make their children together. You and Jungkook, the second you saw Jungkook, your heart squeezed. His blazer was half off, hair messy, and his usually composed self looked completely shattered. You were just about to ask what happened when Daniel muttered, "No stock, not a single unit available in any nearby centers. Our type, it's too rare. We have allotted Saul, but it will take time." "I have that," you said suddenly. Everyone turned. Your voice had been soft, but in that moment it cut through the tension like thunder. Even Jungkook looked stunned. You stepped forward, steady despite your heart pounding. "Same blood group. I can donate." "Are you sure?" the doctor asked, hurrying to your side. You nodded without hesitation. "Seize family. Prepare whatever you need." As the nurse began preparing you for the emergency donation, Jungkook stood frozen, staring at you. Mother was everything to him, and now so were you, in a way you hadn't even realized yet. After a week, the hallway of Jeon mansion was quite filled with the subtle scent of herbal medicine and fresh laundry. Jungkook stepped out of his black car, expression unreadable as always. He had wanted to stay beside her mother, but his schedule kept interfering. So whenever he get chance to even 10 or 20 minutes, he come to check on her. And today he wasn't expecting anyone else there, especially not you. You were sitting beside his mother's bed in a soft pastel blouse and jeans, hair tied in a simple low ponytail. Someone completely out of place in the usual world, Jungkook knew. You were holding a warm towel, gently wiping his mother's hand as you chatted softly. His mother looked at peace. She laughed at something you said, her smile wide and real. The same woman who had barely smiled before now looked like she had aged backward in few days. He stood at the door for a moment, quite watching. Oh, Jungkook, you are here. His mother noticed him at the door. Come in. Look who has been taking care of me better than you ever could. His mother said with delight. You stood quickly and offered a polite bow with a gentle smile you managed on your face. Good evening, Mr. John. Jungkook gave a small nod, then turned his gaze back to his mother. You didn't tell me someone else was here. I didn't know you would be coming today, and he was feeling better. So I just stayed back. I will leave now. No, his mother interrupted softly. Stay, he just came to check on me. And will leave after dinner, busy person. Cities is glaring at Jungkook with fake smile. She has been here since morning taking care of me like her own mother. You probably don't remember. She is the one I told you about, that girl, daughter of my childhood friend we met at the foundation event last year after such a long time. He raised an eyebrow slightly. You were nothing like the woman he usually met at Kala's. They wore stilettos, sharp enough to cut spoken power plays and flirted like it was currency. But you offered his mother water adjusting her blanket without saying a word, not to impress anyone, just because you wanted to. There was silence, quite for a bit too long, before you said politely, I will get going now. She's already eaten and her temperature is normal. She took her meds on time too. You don't have to rush, Jungkook's mother said, gently holding your hand. Stay for dinner? I feel more calm when you are around. Your eyes started to Jungkook awkwardly. Only if it's okay with your son. He looked at you for a good moment before finally answering. It's fine. You stood up with a soft smile, bowing again. I will just let the maids to begin preparing dinner, you said, voice calm but your fingers nervously tugging at the hem of your top. You both should talk. And you quietly excuse yourself. Jaguk's mother turned to him the moment you left. He could already feel it, the submissive in the air, the happiness in her gaze. You were supposed to get married today, she said, not a scolding, just stating. He exhaled through his nose and sat at the edge of the couch near her bed, avoiding her eyes. I cancel it. Silence. He finally met her surprise gate, but before she could ask, he added, I realized little late I didn't love her. I thought we were good together as business partners. That was all it ever was. His mother leaned back against her pillow, folding her arms across her chest. You cancelled your engagement the day of the wedding? There was nothing to save, he said firmly, jaw tightening. She studied him for a long moment, her voice gentler now. You have always been smart in business, Jungkook, but in life, you don't listen to your heart. He scoffed, looking away. And what would my heart say? Before she could answer, your laughter echoed faintly from the hallway, soft, cheerful, and warm. Jungkook's eyes lifted instinctively. It would probably say her name. His mother smiled knowingly. He frowned, visibly shaken by how naturally her words hit the truth he hadn't dared to name. I don't even know her that well, he said defensively. She is just kind. Sometimes that enough, she moaned, reaching for his hand. Don't wait too long to know her. Not everyone stays, Jungkook. The John mansion was unusually quiet that night. His mother had taken her medicines and was resting peacefully. Thanks to her gentle care, Jungkook had finished a call in the study, and now both of you found yourself walking side by side in the hallway with warm mugs of tea in hand. You stopped near the large glass window overlooking the moonlit lawn and casually asked, your tone soft but the birds sharp. So did she really threaten you with legal and ethical consequences, Mr. John Jungkook? Is that how breakups work in your world? Jungkook almost choked in his tea. He looked at you, brows raised, lip twitching. He hadn't expected this side of you. Wow, he chuckled, lowering his mug. And here I thought you were the kind, quiet type my mother can't stop praising. You blinked innocently. I am kind. I just have a strange curiosity for dramatic rich people problems. He placed a hand on his chest, pretending to be wounded. So you are saying I'm a dramatic rich person? You said it. You smiled, sipping your tea. He shook his head, scoffing. Didn't know people like you put salt in bounds too. You met his gaze with an amused smile, tilting your head. Didn't know people like you get bounded too. There was a pause. His eyes lingered on you for a beat longer than necessary. Just then sound of the night birds outside and the soft clink of ceramic. He leaned against the wall beside the window. I still watching you carefully. So, why are you really here? Just because my mother likes you? He asked quieter now. You look down at your teeth and up and again, locking eyes with a calm honesty that caught him off guard. I don't come for you, Jungkook, but maybe. I stayed because of what I saw behind your expensive shirt and sharp tongue. He raised a brow. And what did you see? You smiled softly. Someone who doesn't know how to admit he is a pretty heartless. Someone who actually needs home more than he needs control. For the first time, Jungkook had no sarcastic comeback. He just looked at you, and something unspoken settled between you two. You were about to walk away with your empty cup when his voice stopped you, calm yet lashed with frustration. He didn't bother hiding anymore. I wanted a partner, he said, stepping closer. Someone I could take to galas, who would sit beside me during board meetings, pitching on strategies, run the empire with me, not someone busy nursing my mother or cooking dinner like we are stuck in a 90s drama. You turn slowly, eyes narrowing, a bitter laugh slipping past your lips. Oh, I see. So that's what you have believed your whole life. That someone who takes care of a home is less worth showing off? He stayed silent, jaw tight. You took a step forward, mockingly sweet. Tell me, Mr. John, did you think your mother was not worth showing off? Because my mother, she said she was the queen of my father's world. She built a home so he could go out and conquer the world. Your voice was calm, but your words landed like fire. My mother wasn't on magazine covers. She didn't pitch business plans, but my father never walked into a meeting without her blessing. He said the empire means nothing if it costs me, the woman who makes it worth it. Jungkook stared at you, speechless. His hands were in his pocket, but you could see how tightly his fingers curled. He wasn't angry, he was shaken, because no one had ever challenged his blueprint of the perfect partner. You don't need a partner, you whispered, stepping past him. You need a trophy. You paused for a second, but didn't turn. Next time you want to insult someone who serves dinner and wipes your mother's tears, you said, voice steady, make sure it's not the same someone teaching you what love really looks like. You were almost at the staircase when his voice struck you, sharper this time, almost taunting. You could have used your degree for something better, or did you just collect it to paste on your wall like a certificate for good behavior? You turned around sharply this time, and this time there was no playful smoke, no gentle eyes. Your voice was calm, but it cut deeper than a slap. I hated studying. He blinked, clearly not expecting that. I wanted to be a chef. I dreamed of owning a small rooftop place that smelled like cinnamon and laughter. You took a breath, your eyes turning distant. I also sing beautifully, in fact, but my father, your lips curved into a hollow smile. He said, I am the eldest, so I will be his heir. Jungkook's posture stiffened. He wasn't wrong, though. You looked at him, a bitter smile escaped your lips, eyes unreadable but voice still calm. I didn't chase business. I was assigned to it. I studied because I had to, not because I wanted to. So forgive me if I don't show off my degree at board meetings like a badge of honor. You walked a step closer, eyes locked on him now, almost challenging. I'm guarding what he built, and when the day comes that he retires, I will hold it with pride. But until then, let me breathe. The pause between your breath was louder than any argument. Let me cook for someone who misses homemade food. Let me sit beside a sick mother who misses her son. Let me be the nurse if someone needs me. You didn't wait for his reply this time. Your voice dropped, softer, tired. Excuse me now, Mr. John. Enough conversation for today. I'm sleepy. And with that, you walked away, not defeated, but choosing peace over proving yourself. Jungkook didn't call out this time. He just stood still, watching the hallway you disappeared into. The first time, his definition of strength, success, and womanhood started to blur, and for the first time, he wasn't so sure he knew what the word partner even meant anymore. Jungkook stood frozen at his mother's room again, the weight of your words echoing like ripples in still water. He let out a slow breath and chuckled under it, scrubbing the back of his neck, half amused, half embarrassed. Where do you even find a gem like her, Mom? He mumbled. Behind him, his mother stared from her reclined chair, with a knowing smile, her voice gentle yet smug. At parties where sons don't pay attention to anyone but their business, Jungkook turned, raising an eyebrow. So this was a setup. She shrugged innocently. Call it instinct. I saw her once, the way she handled people, the way she spoke. I felt proud without even knowing her. He sat on the edge of the bed, signing. She thinks I'm heartless. You are, his mother said bluntly. But you are not cruel, just lost in definition that never worked for your own father either. He stayed quiet. It hit harder because it was true. His mother smiled again, looking at the ceiling. That girl may not wear a suit and speak in boardroom codes, but she carries a whole kingdom in her silence. She knows how to serve love with warm meals and guard legacies with sharper intellect than half the men you have partnered with. She is a soft sword, she added, and you, my son, have only ever seen war. No wonder you missed her glow. Jungkook looked down at his palm, thinking, she called me Mr. Jeon. His mother hummed, already tucking herself back under the blanket. And if you want her to ever call you Jungkook, you better deserve it. He laughed under his breath. She really hates me, Mom. His mother yawned, smiling sleepily. Not yet. If she hated you, she wouldn't have stayed up making your favorite kimchi jjigae just because the housekeeper said it's your favorite. That made his brow shoot up. He didn't reply. He just stood up and quietly walked toward his room, but the smile on his lips that stayed. His confession hung heavy in the air, warm, steady, and raw, but before the movement could settle completely, Jungkook pulled back slightly, eyes narrowing ever so slightly with a seriousness that made your heart flutter. And what about you? Do you love me, or did you marry me because your father needed this alliance? This question didn't come from insecurity, it came from a man who had been used too many times, a man who had given loyalty and received betrayal in return, a man who now had you, but still couldn't believe he deserved this kind of peace. She looked up at him, lips tugging into a small, knowing smile, then with a chuckle so gentle it made his brow twitch in confusion. He said, you think I wanted to fall for a snowman? His eyes blinked. What? You laughed fully, now poking his chest. The Jungkook I married was all cold silence that glares and don't talk unless necessary energy. He huffed. Still true. Let me finish. You cupped his face now, your thumbs brushing the faint stubble along his sharp jaw. I didn't expect to fall in love with the Mafia King. I wished I wouldn't. But then I saw the way you folded my blanket when you thought I was asleep. The way you kept asking Daniel quietly if I had eaten because you didn't want to look too soft. The way you glared at the wall but looked at me like I was glass. And somehow I melted into you, even though you were the coldest man I would ever met. Jungkook just stared at you, silent, jaw clenching, but not with anger, with a fulfilled emotion he wasn't used to feeling. And then you whispered the final truth, tracing the tattoo on his neck. You are everything I read about in fictional stories. Cold to the world, warm only for me, protective, loyal, intense. You were the story I didn't want to believe was real until you made it real. His lips twitched upward barely, but it was there. You are calling me a snowman? You grinned. A cute one, with a heart made of gold instead of gold. He shook his head, groaning into your neck, pulling you tighter into his lap. You are unbelievable, he murmured. You really read too many romance novels. You smug, brushing your nose against his. Maybe, but none of them kissed as good as you do. I love this version of you, Mafia downtown, soft Romeo, the one no one else gets to see. He grunted playfully. Careful, I still run this city. You tilted your face, eyes dancing with affection, and pressed a soft kiss to the sharp line of his jaw. Your lips lingered there, warm and teasing, and you whispered like a secret. And I run you, don't I? He groaned low, his hand grabbing your waist tighter. You run me into insanity. He chuckled again, this time more softly, more intimately, nuzzling your nose just under his ear. You make me feel things I didn't think were left in me. He whispered, pressing your hair behind your ear. And you make me forget I ever lived in a world without you. Still holding you securely in his arms, Jungkook let out a soft sigh and looked at your sleepy smile pressed into his collarbone. His voice, still deep and velvet smooth, came out in a slightly amused murmur. Let's sleep, hmm? You must be tired after that intense private fashion show you gave me. He pulled back, eyes playful and teasing. Intense? I barely twirled twice. You are the one acting like I walked a Victoria's Secret runway. He chuckled, a low, rare sound that trembled through his chest. Trust me, doll, none of them could survive if you ever did that in public. Before you could protest, he scooped you effortlessly into his arms, bridal style, making you gasp and wrap you arms around his neck out in instinct. Jungkook, he's more carrying you like you weighed nothing. You have worked too hard being gorgeous. Let your husband handle the rest of the night. You giggled into his shoulder, completely wrapped in his warmth, heart fluttering at the way his tone shifted, possessive, loving, amused, as if this was the only version of him that mattered now, yours. He gently placed you on the bed, tucked the soft comforter up to your waist, then disappeared for just a second. You pouted dramatically. Where are you going? He returned with a lazy smile, slipping off his robe and sliding into bed beside you, now in a simple black vest and joggers, hair messily falling over his forehead. Nowhere. This bed has you in it. That's all I need. You shifted closer, instinctively curling into him. His arm pulled you in instantly, your head resting against his chest while his fingers stroked slow patterns on your back. Just then you asked softly, "You remember that night?" He raised a brow. "Which one?" "The one where your mom asked you why you weren't marrying her perfect daughter in law that evening, and you said I cancelled it. You never told me what happened, what made you do it." Jungkook leaned back, eyes tracing your face slowly. His jaw ticked like he was deciding whether to be vulnerable or sarcastic. Finally, he said, "Yeah, I walked away from her because someone made me feel like a complete fool, but also made me realize I was choosing wasn't meant for me." You blinked, tilting your head, pretending not to melt. "You said you wanted a partner you could flex at galas." He chuckled. "Turns out I just wanted someone who would find me when I lose myself after a bad meeting, and then tell me I'm still worth something even when the stock drops." You smiled, then teased. "So you gave up your corporate queen for a nurse with anger issues?" He grinned, leaning closer. "No, I gave up the wrong crown for the real queen of the house, for the woman is now my wife." You laughed, but your heart did a little flip at the word wife. It had only been 2 months since the wedding, but sometimes you still weren't used to how easily he said it now. "Mom always said you would surprise me," he whispered, brushing your hair back, "but I think she underestimated how hard I would fall." Jungkook once admired a woman, his sharp, fearless business partner. He believed they could become a power couple, unstoppable together. But the day his mother met with the accident, everything changed. He asked her to come with him to the hospital, needing support. She didn't flinch. She looked at him, calm and composed, and said, "I can't leave this meeting. My company needs me too." She wasn't cruel, just committed to a different world. But that moment broke something inside him, cold, sharp clarity. He left without anger, heart pounding, and the hospital breathless and shaken. He saw you offering, holding his mother's hands like your own. And in that quiet moment, Jungkook realized what a relationship needs isn't power. It's someone who chooses to stay. And sometimes the pain isn't in what they did, it's in what you expected them to be. "Sleep, my love. You stole the air out of my lungs all evening. I need to recharge before I let you do it again tomorrow."